time. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence of Just Ask Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in for our Thursday special. However, today's Thursday special is real special. I don't want to have a long time to tell you what the show is about, but you know what? A lot of times what we don't see is how does our persons with disabilities and senior citizens feel about their rights to vote, and what is the method for them to get to the voting polls. So today we're going to do a special show with some dear, good, close friends of ours who we're concerned about and have concerns about making sure that persons with disabilities as well as senior citizens can get to the polls this year. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guests of Warriors on Wheels of Metro Detroit, Lisa Franklin and Jamie Jr. Thank you, ladies, for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Great. Now, no, Lisa, I know that you are the president of Warriors on Wheels of Metro Detroit. So can we start with you and tell us a little bit about yourself and your role as the president?
Absolutely. I am, actually the CEO. We switched our titles.
Okay.
CEO and founder of Warriors on Wheels. And my responsibility is to increase membership, increase communication with other organizations of people with disabilities, build relationships with different organizations, political figures, anyone that we can advocate to help increase our rights and help us to be seen and heard in the community. That is my job.
Okay. And Jamie Jr., can you give us a little bit about yourself and your role?
Sure. I'm Jamie Jr. I am the trainer and facilitator for Warriors on Wheels. My job is to make sure that all of our volunteers are on task, to help disseminate trainings, and to assist Lisa in gaining contacts with other disability organizations and legislative figures to help further our agenda of disability rights.
Okay. Now, ladies, you know what? I'm touched by the fact that, today's topic more or less is about the voting rights for persons with disabilities. And so, Lisa, I want you to go into what are the voting rights for persons with disabilities and how is that affecting us here in Michigan?
Well, something that we need to understand and the community needs to understand and legislators need to understand that just because we are people with disabilities does not mandate that we have to vote absentee. A lot of people with disabilities want to go to the polls and cast their votes. So that's number one. And with Michigan being a swing state, it's very important that people with disabilities understand that their vote is important and their vote counts. So if you have not voted yet, if you haven't received your absentee ballot, if you have your absentee ballot, please do not put it in the mail. We need for you to contact us. We can help you get to a satellite center or either to the clerk's office to deliver your ballot. You can call us at 313-251-5777 and we can assist you there. There are different websites that you can find out where your ballot is, if they've received it, and we can share that with you when you call that number. But it's just very important that we know that our vote counts. And also in the state of Michigan, you can still do curbside voting. So if you have someone that can take you to the polls, and you can vote right there in the car that you get there with, and the poll workers will come out and bring you a ballot and handle it from there. So please understand that we need you in this. We don't care which way you're voting. We just need everyone to get out and vote.
I think a lot of times people I'm sorry, Jamie, but I was going to say a lot of times I don't think people realize that a person with a disability, wants to vote and has a situation in front of them saying, well, how you going to get there? Or, no, you can't have this ballot sent to your house. I mean, why have all of a sudden in this particular election at that, issues on the table seem to kind of eliminate people from the rights to vote? All of a sudden we have issues on the table that tell certain groups you can't vote, or, well, you got to jump through hoops to vote.
No, it's
You know.
voter suppression is what it is. And we
Absolutely.
understand that, you have the right just like the next person. And anytime someone may call you to try to deter you or say something to try to deter you or tell you that you could have voted absentee ballot, that is not true. It is
Mm-hmm.
your right, your option, and your responsibility really to make sure that your vote is casted.
Okay.
And if I might add, Marsha,
Mm-hmm.
we are there to help individuals who have questions. So if you do call us at that number, 313-251-5777, someone will answer your questions about voting. If you are blind and you may need assistance filling out your ballot, if you don't understand a referendum on the ballot, we can assist you. But remember, you have tools at your disposal. You
Okay.
can use the Michigan Voter Information Center. You can use for Vote 411, a website that is by the League of Women Voters. It has a plethora of information regarding all of the referendums, all of the candidates, and their
Okay.
agendas. And also, I like to know if you visit our website at
Mm-hmm.
Warriors on Wheels for Metro Detroit, where it's a Facebook group, and we have a website, wildformetrodetroit.org. You can be connected to our wellness call that meets on Mondays and Wednesdays from 4 to 5:30. And there we're gonna start next week a campaign where we're gonna be talking about the issues on the ballot and the different candidates that have our rights in mind.
That's good. That's good. And I'm glad you ladies, are putting this on the table for our viewers, because a lot of people don't know. People just go on about their business every day and feel like, okay, well, I want to vote, but I didn't have a way to do so, or I didn't know how. So hopefully today's show will get the message out, especially for our disabled population, that you do have the rights, and there are organizations that can assist in making sure that you get your ballots in timely. Okay, so I really appreciate that. Now I do know that you guys do another program too, so I want to bring this flyer up. So either one of you ladies want to talk about this grocery delivery program?
The way this grocery delivery program started was because of COVID. And because of COVID, we realized that we didn't want to expose ourselves to the virus and be in the community. So there were several groups out there that, and they're listed on the flyer: Urgent Women's Action Fund out of California, Transforming Power Fund, the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation, Hip Hop Crip Hop Nation in California. These are organizations that granted different groups to do whatever they needed to do to help people with
Mm-hmm.
challenges get what they needed during COVID. So what we started was a grocery delivery service. People call in, register for the
Mm-hmm.
program on that number, 313-251-5777. They
Mm-hmm.
call in, register on Mondays and Fridays between 11 and 2. And then they call, and they also on Monday and Friday give us their grocery list. We have a form set up where we go through and take their list of groceries, and we take cash. Well, we take debit, credit, we can take cash, and we
Mm-hmm.
take EBT as long as you authorize us to use your EBT card. Now, if you're paying cash, debit, or credit, we will go to the grocery store, get your groceries, and when we come to your door with your groceries, We swipe your debit card or you pay us what
Mm-hmm.
the amount on the receipt. So
Okay.
it's safe. Our drivers are all bonded, and we go through a
Okay.
driving delivery service. So all of his drivers are bonded, and it's a great program. The people that we have in the program love it because they don't have
Now,
to
now who
expose
came who came up with this idea, Lisa? Did you
me.
did you come up with
I'm
this
sorry.
idea? Something tells me you did. But I'm just saying it's wonderful because without with or without COVID, this is a program that's viable. A lot of people are having difficulties getting their groceries. I always go back to I was telling somebody else, and they said you age yourself when you talk about jitneys. When you see the guys used to stand outside the supermarket and ask the woman or family, do you need a ride? Well, now we're at the stage of Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all the other ones that deliver, and yet we have not considered all entities, to say that persons with disabilities or senior citizens, how do they, receive their foods and how do they get their deliveries? So if you have designed this program, you two ladies, hats off to you because it's a wonderful concept.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, people do want us to continue. And like you said, seniors, we're helping a lot of seniors. And so, we take pride in it and we take great care with all of the people that are in our program. So we're excited about that one. And then also through the Nielsen Foundation, we are able to help people that need assistance at home, spinal cord injury individuals who need assistance at home. Because right now during COVID, there are a lot of caregivers that are afraid to go into homes and
Oh
help
yeah.
people that they normally help. So if you do have a spinal cord injury, also reach out to us because there is a program for you to help you, maybe respite care, maybe to help one of your family members take a break for
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
few hours. We can help you with that. So, and we're a family
That's great.
organization. We really are. We have fun together. We keep up with one another. So we
That's
welcome,
great.
everyone. We always looking for volunteers.
I was going to ask you
Yeah.
that. I mean, you can
Yeah.
only do so much yourself. Then you have to squeeze in some volunteers. So I'm going to go back to the screen with your information. So if a person is interested in being a volunteer, they can go to your website. That's the number 4 Metro Detroit at yahoo.com, as well
So
as call
that is
that number.
that's our email. Our
Okay.
website is wow for the number 4
Mm.
metrodetroit.org.
.org. Okay. Okay. That's the website. Okay. So we have up on the screen. I'm sorry. We have up on the screen your email address and your phone number. So the 313-251-5777 is a number they can call if they want to volunteer.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes,
actually, that's
Absolutely.
the general number they can call for volunteer and receive services, correct?
that's correct.
Absolutely. And
Okay. Well, it's all
speaking of
fun.
fun, on Friday nights, we host a virtual karaoke party that folks can join as
Really?
well. Yeah.
I'm about to log in on that. Okay. Okay. Keep
Yeah.
us all
And
happy.
you know
All
what,
right.
Marsha? We
Mm.
switch back and forth. We've been doing Battle of the Bands, and we have a lot of
What?
fun with that. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
we have fun. We
Okay,
have
you
fun.
gotta remind me, Lisa. I got I just got to link in one time. Okay, okay.
All right.
Well, that sounds like fun. And you know what? Because we're working from home and doing everything as much as possible through Zoom and podcast technology and stuff, you still have to find ways to be entertained and have fun. So that karaoke stuff sounds like a good thing to do. You can't touch me, but hey, you can still see me and still communicate with me the best you can. That keeps
Right.
us that keeps us going. That really does. Now, what do you see as the future for Warriors on Wheels?
Well, actually, when we started, we were just all over the place because there was so much work to be done. And, actually, we started as an advocacy an education group, but we swiftly turned to social justice because of the injustices for people with
Mm-hmm.
disabilities
Mm-hmm.
around the country. So we're still speaking with legislators, working with different communities so that you will know what's needed for the disability community to be whole. And Jamie speaks so eloquently all the time about equity, that people with disabilities need equity in order
Yes.
to live independent,
Mm-hmm.
productive lives. And so, what I see for the future of Warriors on Wheels is just that, working in the community to make sure that people with disabilities aren't forgotten about, aren't disrespected. And also, we want to work toward affordable, accessible housing. We
Oh
need
yeah.
housing
Oh
options
yeah.
that are accessible. We need
Mhm.
landlords to step up to the plate and realize that if you taking somebody with a disability's money and you promise them that you're going to make it accessible for them, and they're in there 4 or 5 months, 2, 3 years later, and they still don't have um, bars in the restroom, or they still don't have a shower head that they can reach and pull down,
Handheld. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a ramp,
Yeah.
thresholds that are covered so that they can get in and out of their house, or over the bathroom threshold. Something like that can impede the independence of a person with disabilities. Just 2 little inches
Oh yeah. It
can
does.
be
It
clear
does. It does.
somebody's
It does.
life. Yeah,
You know, I don't
Absolutely.
understand. We're at the point where we got so much new technology and stuff going on that even in housing concerns and stuff, it should be that the new level of architects, the new level of carpenters, masonries, all of that should be trained in ADA. Okay,
absolutely.
should be given classes to understand that it's a possibility there is a person with a disability moving into a home, and what do we need to do. Some things need to be applied before a person moves in the home, and then some things need to be adjusted as a person comes into a new home. And we don't
Absolutely.
have that on the table. It's like, oh, we got to put something in. We got to add a ramp. Now, everyone who has a disability wasn't born with one, and everyone who comes into a disability later in life, some of them are more upset because their house is already set. And now it's like, I got to change my house. Well, that's part of the insurance's job. What do you think the insurance is for? You got to call your insurance company sometime and ask them, what does my policy cover in reference to change? And especially if you are in a car accident and the other party is held liable, or your car or your insurance is, covering the cost. The things that you need in your home should be brought up and put in place before you are discharged from the hospital or rehab
Exactly.
services.
That's
Okay,
right.
and it's just noted in your chart that for this person to live comfortably in their home, these are some of the accommodations that are needed. We don't have that on the table, and it should be part of the law.
Let me just add to that is this housing, accessible housing is not just important for individuals with disabilities. We have families, we have loved ones, we have mates, we have friends. This is not just, oh, she's in a wheelchair or she uses a mobility device. We need to make sure her home is accessible for her. We need to make sure that this country offers visit visitability
Mm-hmm.
when they build homes.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yep.
I meet someone and fall in love, one of my concerns should not be, do we have to move to live together?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Do I have to spend so much money for us to go somewhere? Speaking of going places, do you know in the city of Detroit and in the state of Michigan, there are no accessible ride shares? In this day and age with Uber and Lyft, the only ride share vehicles that individuals with mobility needs can depend on is paratransit. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not equitable.
Right.
You
Right.
can't I can't call it Uber if I want to go out with my non-disabled girlfriend and have a
Well,
drink and
maybe we
know
should
that
put
we
that
don't
on.
want to drive.
Well, Jamie, we need to put that on the table. Okay, people need to know that, because a lot of times, persons with disabilities have to count on family members to transport them to and from all their locations. Or, like you said, we have limited transportation companies, and no offense to them, they making all the money because they know nobody else is available. But we need to either, work on designing our own transportation companies, see how that goes, because it's got to be a van service, a bus service with, the accommodations made or built into them. Even if there's companies who are no longer using these accessible vehicles, where are they, so that we can find out if a company can take them over, such as you guys. Can you take one over and modify it or have it repaired? It's got to be some type of services available somewhere. Why are we so limited in information and resources? And the
Thank
and majority of us know that we're paying taxes. Okay, we're paying our everyday taxes. We're trying to live as comfortable and normal as possible, but we're not getting around like we want to. We're not having recreation and activities like we want to, and we don't have leverage of communication like we should. Even because today's conversation is mainly about the voting. Well, if the voting is an issue, imagine what else is before the voting was. All the things that come across the table before voting was still an issue, but yet we got to vote for some of these people. And do they know or have they heard of you?
And you know what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And it's not funny that you say that because right now, people need to know that all public meetings have to be accessible. They have to accommodate people of all abilities in
Mm-hmm.
order for people to be engaged in the political process. You cannot have a public meeting and not have large print documents for people with low vision, Braille documents for people who are blind. And not everyone reads Braille, but still, that has to be there and accessible to them. And the most important thing that we've been advocating for over 30 years, Marguerite Maddox and her partner right now, who helps get her around,
Mm-hmm.
is hard of hearing. And she has been advocating for 30 years for a city government, any type of public meeting, to have ASL interpreters. And we've got a huge deaf community in the city of Detroit that are really isolated because
Mm-hmm.
they can't even be involved in the political process. They don't have closed captioning. They don't provide an ASL interpreter. And if you notice here recently, and I'm proud to say that the governor
Wow.
does have an ASL interpreter
Mm-hmm.
whenever
She
she
does.
has a meeting,
She does.
she has an ASL interpreter. And it's even more important right now during COVID that you
Mm-hmm.
cannot shut out this population. So, I just want to say that Warriors on Wheels, we welcome all abilities, all abilities.
Wow.
So if you're hearing impaired, deaf, if you are, and forgive me for saying hearing impaired,
No, you're
because
you're
we
fine.
were corrected, that is not the correct terminology.
I
It's
understand.
either deaf or
Hard of
hard of
hearing.
hearing.
Right. It's yeah, it's profoundly
Blind,
deafness and hard of hearing. Everybody has the way they interpret what they think is right in terminology for what persons with disabilities prefer to use. So you're not wrong in what you're saying. Across the board. I feel as though when somebody is addressing a person with a disability, I was taught, and I am that kind of way, and say, "Well, who are you talking about?" I don't want nobody to tell me the lady in the wheelchair. I want them to tell me the lady's name. Okay, you want to say Lisa? I'm like, oh, I know Lisa, but you don't have to tell me the lady in the wheelchair. I mean, come on now. You telling
it's
me a story
transferred.
about right. You
It's
telling me a
transferred.
story about somebody. Tell me a story about somebody, and say, do you know her or him? But you don't never have to refer to a person by their disability just because you're trying to get across your message. Because when we talk about people every day, we don't talk about what the clothes they got on, the color of their hair.
It
What do we
doesn't
do?
define us. That's right. It
Right,
does not
right. So,
define.
so, so you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Yep. And you know what? And ladies, like I said today, particularly, I wanted to get on the topic of what our rights are for persons with disabilities in the process of this particular stage of voting. And is there anything else you want to tell us about the voting rights, Lisa, that people should know? Or Jamie, do you guys have any comments or more about the voting rights?
This is one comment that I like to make. Individuals with disabilities, and not just visible disabilities, but we have friends and colleagues with invisible disabilities. Everyone has the right
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
safe and accessible voting experiences. And we want to encourage you that if you are having difficulty, you should be contacting 1-866 our vote. That is the ACLU's hotline to report issues with voting. And don't forget to engage your local county or city clerk. Let them know the issues that you are having. You can also contact us at WOW, the number 4, MetroDetroit.org. Leave a
Okay.
comment if you're having difficulty with voting. We can help you advocate for change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In this day and age, the one thing we need to learn how to do is stick together because
Oh
my
yeah.
problem is your problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
All right.
one more
Well
thing I like
said.
to add about voting, we have found and we've been told through research that if you contact three people that you know, a family member, a relative, a neighbor, another person with a disability,
Mm-hmm.
if you contact them to find out if they voted, if they have a plan for voting, that will increase voter turnout by 7%. So please, if you voted
Okay.
already today, you can still exercise your ability to help in this process by contacting at least three people, more if possible, and just find
Mm-hmm.
out whether or not they voted. When people call you today, when people contact you in any way today, just ask them the simple question, have they voted? Because we
Okay.
need everybody to vote is very important, and your vote is important regardless of your ability.
Now, is there any other organizations you guys are collaborating with right now?
Yes, there are several organizations. First, I want to say the National Federation of the Blind. We do a lot with the Federation of the Blind, and we have a great relationship with the blind community. Also, Detroit Disability Power, Collective for Disability Justice, um, Disability Network. Lori
Mm-hmm.
Hill is great over there, doing a great job,
Mm-hmm.
and we appreciate being able to collaborate with her. Um,
And we
Okay.
also have a
Well,
wonderful working relationship with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network.
Thank you.
okay.
Most people,
All
when
right.
they think about Detroit Wayne, they only think mental health. They assist individuals with developmental disabilities as well. And just a side note, developmental disability, the term only refers to the onset of your disability, the
Okay.
duration, and the scope of your disability. Meaning, if you were
Okay.
disabled prior to the age of 26, if it affects one or more life activities, and it's expected to last a whole lifetime, you are developmentally disabled.
Okay. Well, ladies, I'm
And they
sorry to
can help you with
cut you off,
services.
but we're getting ready to close the show. So I didn't want to go overboard. I am so sorry, Jamie and Lisa. But would you come
One
back and
more
join us
organization that
again?
I gotta mention, Marsha, I'm
Uh
sorry, is
huh.
the Arc of Detroit. We've got to mention the
Okay.
Arc of Detroit.
And that's right. Yes,
Okay.
Lauren
Detroit
Okay.
has
Glover.
suffered very long. And I'm
And
sorry if I miss
Okay.
anyone
Well,
else, but definitely
that's
the
okay.
Arc. We
You
utilize it.
guys can come back and join us again anytime. Okay. So hopefully we will see you again, especially after the election. All right. So definitely,
Absolutely.
the word we'll get the word out for you. And like I said, I appreciate you both coming and share this information with us, our groups on Facebook and beyond. So we'll get this message out today and beyond, and look forward to seeing you after the show. All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
Well, ladies and
all right,
gentlemen,
thank you so
thank
much.
Lisa Franklin and Jamie Jr. for joining us today. Warriors on Wheels of Metropolitan Detroit. I'm your host, Marsha Florence of Just Ask. And what do I always say? If you know a person with a disability or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
All right.